All right, welcome back. And today I wanted to just kind of profile Final Destination series, a series that I've been watching. I've seen every Final Destination movie that's existed, right? And I love them. It's a weird thing. I know they're kind of horror movies, or they are horror movies, very chilling movies. And I've been addicted to the entire series. And today I found out that the new Final Destination is coming out. Final Destination 6 is going to be coming out this year, sometime this year. And it got me thinking about this franchise, which is a horror franchise based on this very chilling premise that you cannot cheat death. This is what this series is really about. It's known for being, very creative, gruesome, and having some iconic death scenes that occur when the characters narrowly avoid catastrophic events, only to be hunted down by this invisible force representing death itself, which does speak to some ideas that we represent about death in mythologies all throughout the world. Death is this inevitable being. You cannot escape it. So this is not a traditional slasher villain. The antagonist is really fate itself, often referred to simply as death. So there's no figure in a mask. There's no nothing. There's just a force, no music, just a force that is seeking to balance the universe. That's what it's doing. You were fated to die. This was your time. So this franchise blends supernatural horror with psychological suspense that have a lasting impact on this genre. It transformed everyday activities. Driving behind a log truck, walking under a ladder, going to the dentist. These are now anxiety-inducing moments because of the fear. Now, this movie came out initially in 2000. The initial director was James Wong, and this actual idea came from an X-Files script that ultimately was rejected. And it set this tone for the franchise that you cannot cheat death. The second edition will come out 3 years later. This one directed by David R. Ellis. And this one gives us the iconic highway pilot premonition. So this is kind of the basis for this change where they started to give us the concept of death had a specific order, right? They really pounded the order of death in this one, I feel like. Then we get to Final Destination 3 in '06, where we're back to James Wong, and this one centers on the roller coaster incident. So this was a high school, and this really got into the use of photos and omens, as and that obviously kind of reflects some spiritual beliefs, knowing that death is going to come. And that's really what she did. This was the girl with the camera. Then we get into Final Destination 4 in 2009, back to David R. Ellis, and this is the classic NASCAR crash vision. And this just transformed a lot, the characters kind of bonding. I mean, we started to see the idea of the characters kind of bonding together. There was a quicker assimilation, and there was a fate that they had, tied into this as well. So there was a lot that was going on in this one. I felt like they added some extra aspects to it. Then Final Destination 5 in 2011, which has the infamous, this is the bridge collapse premonition. And it has a surprise twist that kind of connects all the way back to the first movie, making it the prequel. So it actually redefines itself. 5 is actually the first one if you want to watch them in order. But now we have the 6th edition that's coming up. And this kind of reflects some thinking, what does the success of Final Destination say about us, right? And this is what I kind of meant out of this. Now, this was released, again, this is a turn in the millennium. We're just coming out of Y2K paranoia, which everybody has forgotten about Y2K paranoia, but this is a real thing for those of us who went through it. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. So there was a cultural shift towards this idea of questioning fate. We had just had an incident, I think, with the Mayan calendar, and this whole flipping of the calendar really had people shook about natural disasters. That's what we were worried about. This is natural disasters. We right after that have 9/11. This is post 9/11 fears, right? These unforeseen circumstances and planes are falling out of the sky. So this franchise, I believe, reflected kind of a nihilistic fear that was unique to these times, where we weren't necessarily afraid of people. We were afraid of inevitability of death. Just out of nowhere, you could be on a plane and the plane's being hijacked, and now you're going down. So this was hidden key to where I think we were culturally, which is why these movies had such massive success. And this is kind of linked to a lot of ideas we see in mythology, which is always what I want to get back to. Some historical context, but the mythological links. So in Greek mythology, there was the three fates, and we know that they kind of cut the thread of life. This is where they were. And Final Destination kind of plays into this idea that your thread is already measured. Like, that's it, right? That's all you're going to get. So you're out of violation if you're trying to live, longer than that. In Japanese mythology, there's a Shinigami, who is a death spirit that is unseen but always present and said to be nudging people toward death when it's their time. The idea of Thanatos in Greek mythology, who was the personification of non-violent death, seen neither as cruel nor kind, just inevitable. And even in Kemetic beliefs, there's Ma'at. Of course, she's all about balance, but this order must be maintained. So this process of life and death must be maintained at all costs, on all levels. And we see these ideas also kind of reflected in Hindu belief systems to a little bit different degree. But overall, we do see, a message of the inevitability of death is something that we can't escape. It is a universal concept across almost all cultures that, we believe in the ideas of premonitions and prophecy if we look for those things in life. And again, this idea of sacrifice, that eventually you will get all these blessings and your life will be your end. You must go. So this is really what this franchise represents, and does it all in this interesting way as these young people grapple with these ideas of ultimately fate that's coming down on them. So I wanted to kind of chime in on this. I love the series. Looking forward to the sixth one coming out. As always, give me your thoughts about this great series in the comment section, and do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe.